Well, I just got my birthday gift from my parents today, and I'll show you what it was. It was very interesting. So, this is what I got. I went to their house today to visit them, and they handed me this. So, on first thought, ooh, you bought me a Swiss Army knife. That's really cool. Thank you. So I opened the box, and I realized it was already open. So I take it out. Now this is a little touching, actually, because you'd have to know my dad to realize just how much this means to him, which is why I almost burst out crying, or teared up a little bit, I should say. He gives me this Swiss Army knife, and I'm like, that's a lot like the one you had, many years ago. Well, he had a Swiss Army knife that he bought in 1978, and he was 15 at the time, and he cherished it. To him, it was the most prized possession he ever owned. See, he grew up with nothing. He really did. He had nothing as a kid. His parents were absent. His mother raised him and his three sisters alone. And she just couldn't really provide for her kids. Even if she could, she wouldn't. So my dad had to fend for himself for the most part. And he always wanted a Swiss Army knife. When he first heard of them, he had to have one. So he saved up every penny he could, and he went out and bought himself one. And to him it was like it really was something that he could cherish and keep and hold on to for many years, and he did just that. Over the years, his knife got battered and ruined, and he used it every day. He was an auto mechanic for many years, and he didn't abuse his tools, but he used them. And the Swiss Army knife was a tool that he really used heavily. It was like a sidekick to him. Well, many years ago, the knife was lost, and he assumed it would never be found again. And by that point, it was in really rough shape, but it still meant something to him. It still meant something because it was something that he bought for himself. When he had nothing as a child, he bought it for himself, and it was just it was a tool that meant more to him than the world. And I recently heard that he had found it again, and it was in really rough shape, really bad shape. All the sides were just cracked and broken and worn out, and I believe the blade was chipped, and the scissors didn't work anymore because the spring was worn out, and it was just in really ratty shape. So what he did was he bought himself a brand new one, he was proud of it. He bought a new one. These side pieces are called scales. His new one is a more advanced model. It has more tools, and it has these wooden scales, and he loves it. It's still Swiss made, just like his original one, but he found the original knife. I'm actually kind of emotional, and this is really because I know how much this tool meant to him. He went ahead and he shipped this one back to Victorinox, I believe, to their Connecticut branch, and he had the entire knife rebuilt. He rebuilt the entire knife, or he had it rebuilt. And when he got it back, he gave it to me because he told me, and this was just today, he said, I really wanted you to have it for your 15th birthday because I got it when I was 15. But he didn't know where it was then. He thought it was gone forever. But after he found it, he went ahead and had it completely rebuilt. And here it is. So this isn't a very fancy model, but that's not the point. It was something that meant so much to him. And he wanted me to have it, but he wanted me to have it in good condition. But what he did was, when he sent it to the Victorinox company, he specified that he wanted as many parts saved that could be saved, and only replace what was absolutely necessary. And he wanted the old parts back. So let's take a look. We'll open it up, and we'll see what it has. So it has a, looks like a 1-inch knife here. Got the about a 2-inch blade there. And I'll show you what was replaced. But this knife I will cherish for the rest of my life, and it's going to eventually wind up. If I ever have a kid, that's who will get it, but otherwise it'll go to my nephew. And probably when he's old enough to appreciate it. And I'll show you all the tools it has. This is a very old model. It's a 1978. I think it's an Explorer. But it doesn't have the hooky thing on the back. I don't know what that hooky thing is for, but it doesn't have that. But it has scissors. I'm going to lose my fingernail trying to get this open. I can't get the scissors out. No, there's the scissors. Give me a minute here. Okay. I'm having a hell of a time getting this out. Ah, almost got it. Nah, forget it. It's just a stabby thing. No, it's more of an awl. I'm gonna break my fingernail getting it open, so I won't. But there's a stabby thing in the back here, like a little awl, corkscrew. It's your, what's that, a 1-inch knife? Get a ruler here. That is a 1.5-inch knife. And over here we have a call it a almost 2.5-inch there. Phillips head screwdriver, bottle opener, can opener, and a flat blade screwdriver and a magnifying glass, and it has tweezers and a toothpick. But to this was something my dad cherished for many years, throughout his childhood and his early adulthood, and it was his wish to have me have it, to have me own it. Now I say that he's still alive and well. Don't take it that way. He's alive and well, and he wanted me to have this, and I can't thank him enough. He then came up to me after I was about ready to leave, and he says, "Are you okay with? Are you happy with this?" I'm like, "You have no idea. You have no idea, man." But that's just how my dad is, you know. He's a good man. And but you know, I think it was the coolest thing he's ever done. But here are all the parts that came out of it. I don't know what he paid to have this rebuilt, but I'm sure it was way more than a new knife would cost. But that's not the point. The point is, for sentimental reasons, this knife will live another, 80 years, I don't know. But these are the original side scales. The Victorinox logo, or the Swiss Army logo is missing. They're chipped and broken on the edges here and here. These are the original tweezers. They're in good shape, but they put new ones in anyway. And new toothpicks, so I'll keep those as spares. Here's the original 2.5-inch blade. I don't know why they replaced it. It really doesn't look bad. I mean, it's got some scratches on it, but I think maybe it had been resharpened so many times. I guess they decided to put a new one in. But it has the Officer Suisse badge on it, stamped in Victorinox, Switzerland, just like the new blade. And here's the other half of the scissors. Apparently, the scissors were fine, but the blade, or the screw was stripped out, so they had to put in replace half the scissor assembly, or one sizz. Here's the smaller blade, and they replaced that too. There's the original one. And the spring from the scissors. Put a new spring in. So there's that. Now let's take a look at some of my other knives. So, when I was 11 years old, for my birthday, my uncle gave me my very first pocket knife. It was a buck knife. It was not, that was the manufacturer. It was a Swiss-made knife. I believe the company was called Swiss Buck, and it was a very well-featured knife, very similar to this Victorinox here, but it didn't really. It didn't last. I used it heavily when I was a kid for carving my name into things. That's about all I used it for. But the very first thing I ever did was cut myself with it. I was taking it out of the box when I was, when I had first received it, and I was taking it out of the box. I opened the knife, and the first thing I did was slice my finger. Not badly, but caused me some bleeding and frustration. But I used that knife a lot. I brought it to school every day for a while. This was in the late 90s, and it was okay to do that. Nowadays, you can't bring anything sharp to school. I mean, not even scissors, crying out loud. But in the 90s, a lot of kids brought knives to school. We used to sharpen our pencils with them. You know, we didn't fight. We didn't do anything wrong. I mean, it was a small town that I grew up in. You know, different world, different time. It was before 9/11, before Columbine. Anyway, I lost that knife, and I have no idea what the hell happened to it. I can't find it anywhere. I've moved 3 or 4 times since I last saw it, so it's gone. But I wish I still had it. You know, it was a really cool knife. It was well made. But anyway, in about 1998, I think it was, my other uncle, got me this one for Christmas. It was a very expensive gift, I thought, for the time, but I was very appreciative because I've always wanted a new knife after I lost my old one. And anyway, this is a Leatherman Super Tool. This is one of the original Leatherman Super Tools. I don't think they're any different now, but I know they've changed a few things over the years. But this one I still use almost every day. To this day, I've used this knife for so many things because it is so handy. Of course, being a Leatherman, it has the obligatory needle nose pliers, which I've used extensively. It also has a very nice wire cutter built right into it, which I've used on a lot of projects. But now the wire cutter is a little worn out. It doesn't really cut much anymore. I just recently opened it up as much as I could and cleaned everything with, a steel wool and some WD-40 because it was all starting to get gunky and rusty and, just from sitting around for so many years. It came with a sheath, but I no longer have that. That got lost many years ago. But it has a lot of tools that I've really found that this is probably one of the most versatile tools I've ever owned. It has a saw blade for cutting wood. It has a serrated blade for cutting. It's great for cutting cardboard. That's what I use it for. Bottle opener, a very small screwdriver, which I've used for a lot of different things. Phillips head screwdriver. And on the other side we have, let's see, it looks like a 3-inch knife. 2 flat blade screwdrivers, a stabby thing, and a file. And I've used all of these tools for various things. In fact, a lot of my YouTube videos, I use this just as I keep this like nearby whenever I need to stab something or to grind or to file something or needle nose plier something. Yeah, I just said that, didn't I? Yeah, to needle nose plier things. Yeah, but that knife, it has that knife blade, is it? Yeah, this thing is just one blade on this one, and it is 2.5 inches, almost exactly, in length. That was the rule in school. You couldn't have a knife bigger than 2 inches. That was it. Nowadays, if you bring in a knife that's 1 inch, you're going to fucking jail, son. Yeah, that's just how our society is now. And I just noticed this, but there's a crimper on the back. Look at that. You can crimp electrical connectors with this. Not bad. But you know, it's old, it's worn out. You know, it's not what it used to be, but it's still a very valued tool and a sentimental value and all that, because I've owned it since I was 14. So I got my first one when I was 11, my second one when I was 14, and my third one on my graduation day, and here it is. Now this was given to me by a gentleman that that was a friend of my parents. Well, back when they were in high school, and I mean they've known each other forever, but my dad used to work for him doing security system installation and repair, and he gave me this for my graduation, as a graduation gift. He was all proud of me because I was going into the military, just like he did, and he wanted me to have a nice knife and everything. But I did end up going into the military, but it only lasted a few months because I hurt my ankle. I went into the Air Force. August of 2003, I shipped off. I came home on November 19th, 2003, so I wasn't gone long. But I went to Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. I lived there for 4 months, almost 4 months, almost 4 months. And yeah, it was the time of my life. But I got hurt on the track, not really badly. I mean, it wasn't really a major injury. I recovered from it, but not fast enough, so they sent me home. But anyway, this is one that I don't really use that much, but it's always in my car. I always have it with me. It's not as strong as the Leatherman Super Tool. It has a lot of flex to it, and the jaws are smaller. But I have used this at work on a few different things. If I'm plumb without a screwdriver, I grab this out of the car and use it. But it's pretty well featured. You've got your obligatory. Now this is interesting. On the Leatherman Juice, they have tools on both sides. I'll show you what I mean. It's pretty well packed, a little bit like a Swiss Army knife. In fact, I think this is more targeted towards the Swiss Army knife market than anything else. But it has 3 different flat blade screwdrivers on one end, 1 Phillips on the other, and that's on the inside part. And then we'll flip it on the other side. The Super Tool has everything on the inside, nothing on the outside, just a ruler. So we've got a nice sized blade there. Just put the camera there. Okay. It does have a pair of scissors. So like I said, this is equipped more like a Swiss Army knife. But I find that the scissors are a little more durable. The knife overall is a little more durable than the Swiss Army knife. A lot more durable, actually. And of course, it's got this one tool that I can't seem to get out. Oh, there we go. Ah, there we are. Okay, I think I got it all open there. So we have a stabby thing. I believe this is actually for sewing, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's a sewing needle of some kind. I really don't know. I should look into that. I don't know what that tool does. But we've got the saw blade, knife, and scissors on that end. Close it up. But I have used this quite often. Not as often as I'd like to, but because I just keep forgetting to bring it with me, you know. Alright. And we've got... gotta clean it out, too. Oh, wow. You know, I've never even noticed this one. I don't know what it is. I think it's for gutting fish. I don't know what that would be used for. It's like a little serrated... I don't know. Got a corkscrew for celebrating. We've got a bottle opener for also celebrating. And I believe it opens cans, too. And we've got our file. Double-sided coarse and fine file. And we've got a lightly serrated blade for cutting, and actually for cutting food and cardboard. I've used it for cutting mainly cardboard. And because this is targeted towards the Swiss Army knife market, it has a built-in set of tweezers, but it doesn't have a toothpick. But there are the tweezers right there. Good for tweezing. And yeah, so we got all that. My buck knife, that little knife, it had, if I can remember, I believe it had two knife blades, a 2-inch and a 1-inch. It had a corkscrew. It had a toothpick. It had tweezers, and a few other odds and ends. But unfortunately, it is history. And I don't think Leatherman still makes the juice product. I think they make a different product now, and it's probably made in China. But these are made in America. And this is, of course, Swiss, so yeah, there's that. I have one other knife I can show you. This is another Swiss Army knife. Now this one it was sent over in a box of junk that a friend of mine had given me. It's, I don't know much about it. I don't know how old it is. Maybe we can figure that out now. Interesting. It says Victoria, Switzerland stainless. And on this side it says Army Suisse. I'm getting the feeling that this is a Chinese knockoff. But it seems to be a very well-made knife. No, maybe not. Victoria? It should be Victorinox, no? Let's take a look. So this one is really crusty. But no, I don't think this is Chinese. I think this is actually a very good quality knife. Yeah, this came in a box of junk. I don't know any history on it. But we have a 2-inch blade, a 1.5, a 2.5, what is that, 1.5? 2.5 inch, 1.5 inch, a can opener, a bottle opener, flat blade screwdriver, corkscrew, and a stabby thing. I don't know. I need to look into. Well, as it turns out, this is a genuine Swiss Army knife, but it's a lot older than I thought. This one possibly dates back to the 1950s. This one actually may be worth something if it were properly restored, but the cost of restoration would probably make any value negatory. So, but I'm glad I didn't throw it out with the other knives that were in that box. It was really random. A friend of mine just randomly shipped me a box of junk, and it contained like a dozen cheap Chinese pocket knives and this. And this one actually might be valuable. Interesting. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.